The 2025 NBA season just started, and it was a disastrous start for the Denver Nuggets, as they didn't have just one bad loss, but two, and this looks like it could be a bigger issue. The Lakers are a completely new team, and the new additions to contenders have been good, right? We'll be discussing all this and more in this weekly NBA recap called In Case You Missed It. We are here with a similar video every Monday at 3, and these videos recap the injury standings and my updated power rankings on top of the biggest news of the week. Watching the 2024 offseason unfold, I was expecting that the Denver Nuggets were going to disappoint in the playoffs for the second consecutive year. We are 2 games into their season now, and they have looked atrocious to a point that it may not even be a surprise if they go home early in the playoffs again. That would be quite the 180 for a team that just won the NBA championship 2 years ago now, but honestly, that is the reality. Coming into the season, I expected that the dominance of Nikola Jokic would be enough to carry them to a top seed in the West, but after watching him drop 41 points on the Clippers in a losing effort at home for that matter, it is pretty clear that there is a huge problem with the Nuggets. In the game, Jamal Murray was the only other player to bring true production on offense outside of Jokic, as MPJ had 9 on 4 of 14 shooting, Gordon had 10 on 3 of 10 shooting, but defensively, they gave up 37 points to Norman Powell, allowed James Harden to get off with 23 points and 16 assists, and Zubac to go off for a 24 and 15 game. This was an absolute shit show on both ends of the floor for Denver, and it really boils down to the fact that if they favor players who can defend, there is no offensive production from them, and if the lineup favors offense, they cannot get a stop. This is so alarming because the only way to truly correct the issue is by trading players to get better two-way players, but they have so much money wrapped up in 4 players that the only way to make a trade is by trading one of them. I've been pushing the narrative that MPJ Willard should be traded by the deadline, but at this point, what value is he going to have for a team given his contract and inconsistency? We all knew losing KCP was going to be massive as he was a good defender and brought floor spacing, but this hole is so big now for the team that it seems they are going to have a complete fall off because the team is simply put incomplete. Before I move to a more positive topic, I just want to say the most alarming part of both of their games outside of the glaring weaknesses on offense and defense is simply the fact this team has hung their hat on dominating at home, and they lost both games at home in extremely disappointing fashion. Hopefully they can turn it around next week, but that was a dreadful start to the 2025 season. If my videos were done daily, the very first one for the season would have without a doubt been highly critical on Julius Randle on the Timberwolves, as the game against the Lakers really wasn't the best showing, to put it nicely, but he and Ant showed out the next 2 games in winning efforts. There is obviously going to be a learning curve for them as the playstyles didn't exactly match, but they made it work against the Kings and Raptors. Now, those 2 teams aren't exactly the best defensive teams, but seeing them play well next to each other is massive for the Timberwolves. It will be interesting to see how it plays out the rest of the season, but my optimism for the Timberwolves is still high despite an underwhelming first game. Other big offseason additions fared well in their first weeks with their new teams outside of Julius Randle, as DeMar DeRozan fits seamlessly into the Kings' offense. It just has not led to any wins yet. But we will give the Kings a pass this week as they played the Timberwolves in the Team of the Week, and both games were very competitive. Klay Thompson found his shot and has been a deadly knockdown shooter in Dallas through 2 games. After the first game of the season, the Knicks' new additions, Mikal Bridges and Cat, have looked good, but that is only a 2-game sample size, technically 1 if we are talking about when they've looked good. Unfortunately, we haven't seen any of Paul George yet with the 76ers as he still recovers from his knee injury sustained in the preseason, but his team has been a huge topic of conversation in all basketball media outlets. His teammate Joel Embiid embarrassed himself on multiple occasions this week, but the occasion we will be talking about is him saying he will probably never play a back-to-back game again in his career. This was not taken kindly by the media, as many believe that this is the beginning of a new Kawhi Leonard, as players who go down this path are merely similar. For a player who is almost a guaranteed MVP candidate yearly, to say you will not be playing in games is just crazy to me and many. Embiid better hope he wins within the next few seasons, because right now he is on a trajectory that would all but certainly leave him in the history books as one of those generational players whose talent was wasted. LaMelo Ball wasted no time this season as he has come out cooking, as he has averaged 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists in 3 games so far this season. MVP numbers on a subpar team is quite impressive. I think this is all the more impressive as Brandon Miller, his assumed co-star, has only appeared in 11 minutes of the season so far, as he got hurt early in Game 1. Media outlets are pushing a LaMelo Ball narrative that puts him as a top guard, and it will be interesting to see how that progresses as the year continues. I mean, in 2024, it was Tyrese Halliburton who broke out on the scene and was widely considered a top 3-point guard for a while. So are we looking at LaMelo Ball taking the media spotlight this year? I guess we will see, but I doubt it since there is no logistical way that the Hornets are competitive given their roster. We will see, though. Last year, if we saw the Pistons with 3 losses in a week, we would know it was because they were horrific. And although they went 0-3 this week, their record is actually deceiving. They have played the Pacers, Cavs, and Celtics so far this year, and realistically in a head-to-head matchup, no one's expecting them to win or even compete against those teams. But the Pistons actually look like a competent basketball team. Sure, there are still major flaws to the team, but Cade Cunningham has looked like an all-star caliber player, while Jaden Ivey looks completely different as he took a massive leap. The vets they brought in have helped them be competitive in their games, but their backcourt and Jalen Duren is really impressive so far, and that is why although the Pistons went 0-3 this week, you cannot discredit how much better they look right now and how much their cornerstones have jumped up in 3 games. Still early, but I am impressed 1 week in. My weekly awards were surprisingly easy to decide this week, as the MVP of the week was without a doubt Jason Tatum. Tatum had an efficient 33, 6, and 6 while playing 32 minutes a game. Unreal performances from him this week. The surprise player of the week was without a doubt Buddy Hield, as he was just lights out and elite in both of the Warriors games this week. Absolutely amazing fit and pickup for the Warriors, who have a chance to turn the narrative. Let's see how they fare against good teams before I make any crazy changes to my view on them, though. The most disappointing player of the week is Tyrese Halliburton, as he was a shell of what he was in 2024, as he went off in 2 games, averaging 7.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game, while shooting 23% from the floor and 6% from 3. Amazing performance against the Knicks as he had 0 points. Very disappointed, but knowing how Halliburton is, he is going to go off and win Player of the Week next week given his history after I critique him. A few teams remain undefeated, but many of the teams that are played horrible competition. This week's Team of the Week did not, as the Lakers were absolutely dominant. Their offense has been reinvented and runs smoothly as the ball and player movement is as good as it has ever been. The defense has improved with new schemes, and overall, the team has been winning in many different dimensions. Anthony Davis has been a true MVP contender through 3 games, and LeBron has been picking and choosing his moments, and when he is choosing to, he is so unstoppable right now. Great week for the Lakers, and they are without a doubt the team of the week, and there really shouldn't be any arguing with this. We already discussed the worst team of the week, and it is undoubtedly the Denver Nuggets. The injury report: only major injury was DeJounte Murray suffering a fracture on his hand, and he had successful surgery. He'll be out for at least 4 to 6 weeks. And before we get to the power rankings, we have many extensions to highlight that went down this week. Moses Moody got 3 years for $39 million from the Warriors. Trey Murphy got $112 over 4. Jalen Green got a very team-friendly $106 for 3. Jalen Suggs got a shocking 5-year, $150 million extension. Corey Kispert got 54 over 4. Alperen Sengun got a well-deserved 5-year, $185 max extension. Jalen Johnson got a massive 150 over 5. Aaron Gordon was inked for a 4-year extension worth $133 million. And Rudy Gobert was given 110 over 3, questionably. My power rankings after this week are up on the screen now. Nothing major to point out outside of the Lakers being where they are, which is something I didn't think I would be doing. But here we are. And that's going to conclude the very first episode of In Case You Missed It in the regular season. If you want to see my 10 hottest takes for this season, you should click on the video on the screen. Y'all stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.